Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading two Sedras, Parshas Behar and Bechukosai, here outside Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, they're just going to be reading one Parsha, Parshas Bechukosai. And so, this Shabbos, all the Jews outside Eretz Yisrael and the Jews inside Eretz Yisrael are going to be united together in the reading of Parshas Bechukosai. Outside, we'll read Behar and Bechukosai. In Eretz Yisrael, just Bechukosai. And so, Bechukosai will unite all the Jewish people once again. The Parsha of Bechukosai, which is the last of all the Parshas in Chumash Vayikra, in which we say at the end, Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek, Bechukosai begins with the words, Im Bechukosai Telechu. If you will go in my chukum, in my statutes, and you will guard my commandments and do them, the Torah then lists about 30 different stages of blessing that will come to the Jewish people, both in terms of rain and produce, of abundance, of peace, of tranquility, of calm, of total dominion over the land of Israel, and total tranquility for all the Jewish people, just because of Im Bechukosai Telechu Ves Mitzvosai Tishmeru Asisem Osam, if you will go in my statutes. Now, the Torah in Parshas Toldos explains that statutes, chukim, refer to mitzvos, commandments of Hashem, that she'umos ha'olam meshivin aleihim. It's the kinds of things that people argue against, and they say, there's no purpose to this. They're statutes without reason. I'm not going to keep them. I can't keep them. I will keep the rational things. They make sense, but those which make no sense, there's no point in my keeping them. If I don't know the reason, why should I keep them? And even though the Hamek Dover and many other Mefarshim point out that when it says Chukosai over here, it doesn't literally mean Chukim. As Rashi says, it means toiling in the Torah, being involved in the study of the Torah. But nevertheless, the Torah used the word Bechukosai. The Torah specifically says, in my statutes. It's almost as if, in order for all the blessings to come true, the Jewish people have to walk in the statutes that have no rationale given, just because Hashem commanded the laws to us. And if we do that, then we will accrue to us all the blessings that the Parsha says will happen to the Jewish people. We have a general rule that Hashem rewards and punishes midah keneged midah, measure for measure. All the rewards that are mentioned in this Sedra that come because of the keeping of the chukim, of those laws which don't have a specific logic, all of those gifts also don't seem to have a specific logic. For instance, why is it that the land of Israel uniquely can only be settled, as it says in this week's Sedra, by the Jewish people? The nations of the world took over the land from the Jews, and for 2,000 years they could have had their way with the land. They could have plowed and raised crops. They could have built on the land, and yet it remained desolate. It was empty. Why? Why was it desolate? Does it make logical sense that a prosperous nation should be taken off a land and the other nation that comes in should lay waste to the land and not be able to produce anything from it? It's almost as if you, the Jewish people, keep the land and keep the mitzvahs that are chukim, even those that don't necessarily make sense to you at this moment, but Hashem gives logic in His sphere of understanding, and you have to keep them because Hashem commanded, then the rewards will be also irrational. They don't make any sense. The victories of the Jewish people, specifically the Six-Day War in which Yerushalayim was reunited for the Jewish people, it makes no sense. The entire Six-Day War of 1967, in which Jerusalem was given back to us and taken back by the IDF with Hashem's help, it doesn't make any sense. It's not rational that a people off the land for 2,000 years should be victorious, outnumbered by 5 armies, each army superior in numbers and weaponry than the state of Israel, and yet miraculously won a victory. It makes no sense. But in Bechukosai telecho, even the chukim which make no sense, then I will give you back all those promises which make no sense. You know, Rabbi Beryl Wein Shlita, the great historian of the Jewish people, that great Talmud Chacham, has been quoted as having been told by a West Point general that in West Point they study many wars of many nations throughout the history of the world to learn strategy, but they don't study the Six-Day War. And when asked why, he said, because we study strategy. There's no point in studying miracles, and the Six-Day War was miraculous. The taking back and the giving back and the uniting of Yerushalayim, which just as Yerushalayim was united, so does Bechukosai unite the Jewish people. If we will follow the statutes, which to our simple minds don't necessarily have rationality that we can explain in a simple way, and yet if we follow those, then just as irrationally we are following them, and it's not really irrational, it's only because we're obeying the rules of the king, and that's not irrational, but if we do that, then all the other promises will come true. And Yerushalayim, which is united irrationally after 2,000 years with great miracles, will also come true. And it did come true. And just as that came true, if the Jewish people will go even further, plug in even more to the study of Torah, to the observance of the chukim, even though to so many brilliant, simple minds, they can't fathom the logic, then the rewards will come, even though those rewards seem to go beyond the pale of simple explanation and rational understanding. Midah keneged midah, Hashem rewards us measure for measure. We kept, even though we didn't necessarily understand, we're rewarded beyond simple understanding. Chazak, chazak, v'nis chazeik. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos.